I told you. I told you early enough not to get into any flings, situationships, affairs, or extramaritals. I told you it's going to get very serious and this may get tricky for your overall life. Want to go back and see what I said? No, 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 no. Scorpio and Virgo ascendants. These zodiac signs have to be very careful with situationships and flings and affairs, or in other words, extramarital affairs. Though you may not intend them to be serious ones, but the Saturn aspect is going to make it very serious for you. Just be sure of that. And when we talk about Cancer, Cancer is going to have an impact on their marital relationships. But before you do that, it's time for you to subscribe to my channel and press the like button. Saturn, the deadliest, most malefic planet, has gone retrograde. How does it impact the lives of all 12 ascendants or sun signs or moon signs during this period? This period is from 13th July 2025, just about a few days back. And this goes on until 28th November 2025. So during this while, the first thing which people need to see is forget about the retrograde initially. Just look at what are the aspects of Saturn. So Saturn is residing in Pisces, sign number 12, since end of March 2025. And it's going to stay there until the October of 2027. So that's where Saturn is transiting. And when Saturn transits there, it aspects the third, the seventh, and the 10th house. When they aspect the seventh house, it's still going to remain the same even when they go retrograde. The only thing that changes is the aspect of the third house and the aspect of the 10th house. Now, again, let me clarify a very important thing in the beginning for you. The third aspect of Saturn is more important than the 10th aspect. So the first is where the Saturn is residing and the third aspect, followed by the seventh aspect and the 10th aspect. Now, a lot of people will tell you like crazy things about this is happening, that is happening. First basic premise you need to understand is when Saturn gives you problems, it also relieves of problems. For some cases, it might be that you increase your debts. For other ascendants or signs, you may get rid of your debts. You may get rid of some of the court cases because it is a karmic planet. Now, let's talk about the other interesting aspect. For all the 12 signs, one thing is going to remain constant, that the third sign of Saturn, third aspect, is going to be on the Capricorn Rashi, which means that that is already the house of Saturn. So for those ascendants where the third aspect is coming on the sign where 10 is written, although the third aspect is very deep, but it's Shani's own house, Saturn's own house. It's not going to ruin that house. It's going to push you to some limits. And again, for some particular ascendants, like for example, Libra, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Taurus, Saturn is a friendly planet for them. So for these areas, the aspect on these houses where you have 10 written will be more productive, and it may just cause certain delays into your things, but it is not going to hamper that particular house. We're going to talk about all of that in detail, but it was very important for you to initially know how this process works before you start gauging on like, oh, I mean, it's going to be bad for so many signs, for so many things and all of that. No. And the best part, the hidden tip here is that Saturn will give you some new skill when it's pushing you to limits in some or the other field. For one particular sign, in fact, two, Saturn is going to impact your personality and individuality, and you will feel overburdened during this period with responsibilities. So, what this will do is it will bring in more maturity into your life. So, before wasting time, let's get started with all the 12 signs, how Saturn is transiting. And let me know if you want any further elaboration on any of these signs. Do put that in the comment box. The first sign, the sign of Aries. So this is how your chart will look like. And Saturn is currently transiting through Pisces, which is in your 12th house. So in this 12th house, what you will see is that one, the impact of Saturn will be to a great extent if you're like, there might be problems in foreign land. You could also imbibe some newer enemies, hidden enemies. Then it is impacting your sixth house, which either ways, even when it was not retrograde, it was still impacting the house. So here the impact is going to remain the same that it is. However, the impact comes into your 10th house. So 10th house, the house of profession. This is where you are likely to experience some delays in reaping the fruit of your professional life. There might be some struggles, some relationships with your father could be a little more tricky in that sense. And even the impact comes to your third house, which is the house of younger siblings. So relationship with siblings could also take a bit of a like a tough stand over there. Now again, please note that we are counting the 10th aspect of Saturn from here because now it is retrograde. Don't think it is like 1, 2, 3, 4. Some people do end up making that mistake. Now let's move to the next sign. This is the sign of Taurus. So as you can see, Saturn is impacting your 11th house, wherein your gains will be slower. You may have delayed achievements or like desires in your life during this period of Saturn transit. Now, again, this particular period, the impact on this house is not during the retrograde alone. It's going to stay on till October of 2027. However, the impact on retrograde is largely impacting your ninth house, which means so here you may have some kind of like troublesome long travels. So if you're planning some long trips during this while, you may face some obstacles in that. Uh, Apart from that, it is impacting your fifth house, wherein if you are someone who's in a student phase, you may not feel connected to learning or you may not be inclined towards studies. And if you're a grown up, again, if you're learning any new kind of a skill, that may pose some sort of a challenge out here. Then it's also impacting your second house, which means, like, of course, if your gains from income are slower, then amassing the wealth will anyways be a little more tricky during this period. Not that you'll not be able to do it, it'll require some more hard work and discipline. The good part of this is that Saturn will bring in the qualities in you to be able to plan your finances better during this period. Next, move to Gemini. So Gemini, your Saturn is right now in the Kendra, which is your 10th house. So clearly it is going to be impacting the professional life. That's pretty much certain. Second, what it's also going to do is you may also have restrictions or some hard relationships with your father. That's also likely during this period. It's impacting your house, the Maraka house of eighth. So this is basically like when it's impacting your eighth, you may have some psychological fears that could develop during this while that, oh, I mean, I'm not able to sleep well. There are some challenges which could be related to I mean, there could be some joint finances with your parents or with your spouses. There could be some troubles relating to inheritance. That's another area to watch out for with this transit. Of course, it's impacting your fourth house, which is the house of inner peace. So during this while, you might find turbulence that, okay, my inner peace is getting distorted. I'm having a little difficult times at home with people because that's how the Saturn is trying to put you in that space where there can be some sort of restrictions at home. And finally, the house, which is the personality house, which means over here you will get some more additional responsibilities, whether you're a student, whether you're married, unmarried, with kids, you may feel a sense of some more responsibilities that Saturn is going to put you during this period. These are the houses that are impacted for a Gemini sign. And now the next sign that we have is Cancer. And in Cancer sign, Saturn is transiting through your ninth house. So ninth house, it's going to impact certain parts of luck, wherein sometimes you may feel, oh, I mean, this was something which was pretty much certain for me. Why has this been halted? So this is a halt thing. So sometimes Saturn delays things for you to develop better, you to get better at certain things. You're again like long distance travels could be posing a little bit of obstacles to you sometimes. And obstacles doesn't mean like it's very heavy. Sometimes it's like you may have like changes in your booking. Sometimes it's like you're trying to go to a city, you may have changes in your hotel reservations. So there are these long distance journeys which could be impacted. It's going to impact your married life. I mean, seventh house, your married life, if you're in a business, it could also impact relationships with your partner. These are the testing times for your relationship. Now, testing time doesn't mean you'll end up in a divorce or something. The whole idea is testing times. During this while, Saturn is going to push you to test how strong your relationship is, and even with regards to business partner. So this is a very crucial house that Saturn is now going to impact with its retrograde. It's going to impact your relationship with the younger siblings. Again, that's something which may not apply to everyone because everyone may not have those younger siblings, and most of these cases you may have siblings who are not even staying together. So sometimes that's a less of a thing to worry relative to how your spouse or your business partner is going to behave. And lastly, it's also going to impact your house of expenditure. So during this while, it may basically put you into a spot where you may get into like spending a little more than what you already do. And you may end up getting yourself involved in certain kind of schemes where you may end up losing more money than making any quick buck. The next sign, the fire sign of Leo. Why calling the fire sign? Because thankfully, Saturn right now is in a water sign. So, I mean, had Saturn been in one, that would have been a fire sign. Fire sign and fire sign, that would have meant very different things. Anyways, so for Leo ascendants, how the Saturn transit retrograde is going to impact you is firstly, with regards to some changes in your psychological behavior, you may get some anxiety, fear of losing certain things. And at the same time, inheritance issues could be there in cases of people who are inheriting from their family, parents, grandparents, etc. Even with regards to those kind of couples who are in a situation where they are going through a separation or a divorce, this kind of transit is also going to impact your joint finances. And this is going to be a little longer. So you got to bear with this time. It shall pass too. Next, it's also going to impact your health. So during this while, keep a close check. Your bones, your teeth, your joints. You may experience some pain. Now again, sometimes people ask me, "Oh, it's going to be like that bad or not?" See again, how things work is it's an aspect. Sometimes a bone may just mean you collided yourself against a wall and you had to just spray the painkiller for about a week. So everything doesn't mean catastrophe. So that's how it's going to impact your health. Again, it's also going to see like where Saturn is in your horoscope otherwise. But here, if you see, Saturn right now is the also the Lord of the sixth house. So when the sixth house Lord sits in 6, 8, or 12, it doesn't get bad for the ascendant. Then your second house, where you have the house of amassing wealth, having deeper connections with your overall family values. So this is where Saturn is going to impact you. Overall, it looks like a decent period for Leo sign. Now Virgo. So Virgo is where your Saturn goes into your seventh house. So again, in terms of marriage relationships, business relationships, Virgo is probably the sign where Saturn's impact is going to be the highest because here Saturn's gonna be there despite its retrograde for 4 months, but it's still gonna be there till 2027. These are going to be really testing times for your relationship. Again, testing times, as said earlier, are not going to be leading to divorce all the time, but they will be tricky. So avoid arguments during this period. And with business partners, this could be a period where if it also comes in some sort of a relationship with Rahu or Ketu, this may also mean that you could have backstabbing from your partner, whether personally or professionally. It's going to impact your career. Mildly, it's going to impact the career because there might be some ups and downs in your career, but nothing major. It's going to impact your personality because you may feel overburdened with the responsibilities because it's going to give you that additional responsibility in some way or the other on how this period is shaping up. You may get responsibilities due to children because here you see it's also impacting your house of the child. So with regards to children, you may feel like some sort of like behavior where you may have like opposing forces clashing against each other. So that is one way Saturn will impact your fifth house because that's the transit from the third. And again, as said earlier, the third aspect is more crucial than the 10th. So wherever in these signs you see that Saturn is aspecting sign 10, over there its impact is going to be more in comparison to the signs where it shows 6 or 3. However, because Saturn is the lord of this house, it's going to be impactful, but it's not going to ruin things for you. Keep that in mind. This is own sign. It's not going to destroy this house. These are enemy signs. So this is where you need to watch out for. Next, we go to Libra. So for Libra ascendant, Saturn is right now in the sixth house, the house of health. So again, it may lead to some like I mean, I was talking to one friend the other day, and he was mentioning that it looks like I may have some problem with my teeth. It may require like a root canal treatment or something. So that's something which is going to be more common for the Libra ascendants. Pain in joints, some bone issues, these things could crop up. It's going to impact your house of inner peace, not in a big way, because see, let's take an example here. In a Libra sign, if your inner peace is getting distorted due to anything, Saturn being the lord of this house is not going to let it completely go haywire. It's just going to give you some signs and strengths to come up with some better plans in life to achieve a long-term peace. Then it's impacting your 12th house, which is also linked to your expenses. You may acquire some debt here and there. That could be another thing. And in terms of luck, there is going to be like some slight delays if you're expecting some quick gains during this period. Scorpio. Scorpio, if you are a student, then during this while, you're not going to be interested in studies. If you are not a student and you have a child, that's going to be some impact on child studies where he or she may not seem connected with you. It's also going to impact your sign of younger siblings, but not to a great extent because it's aspecting its own house. This one is important because it's going to impact your fear, your psychological part, and at the end of the day, it also sometimes represents that you may face some sort of issues in your lower abdomen or reproductive organs. That's another area where Saturn aspect would impact you, and it also impacts your short-term gains and your like the income levels. However, what will also happen is in this particular house, you may see that your circle of friends is shrinking, but it is also becoming more loyal during this period. The next one now is the Sagittarius. Again, one of those signs where you have Saturn sitting in the Kendra. So here what it's doing is it's basically sort of like tampering with your inner peace. It's also Saturn in fourth is also ensuring that you have some restrictions at your home. There is probably like some sort of an authority with your father, mother, where things are getting a little challenging with home relations. It's also impacting your spouse, so which is not a great sign because it's impacting your home, it's also impacting your spouse, and these are tricky periods in cases for that. 10th house again, it's also going to impact your profession in some sense. It's not going to be very deep, but you may feel some hindrances, some things which are happening during this transit period. And the second house, which is of amassing wealth, having financial stability, and I mean, you may have like a conservative approach towards finances during this period. Capricorn. So in Capricorn, what we see is one, of course, younger siblings is getting impacted. Your luck and travel is getting impacted. This was getting impacting earlier also. So sometimes, like when people were traveling a lot for business or for work or for leisure, suddenly they may see like a small dip in that in comparison to what they were already doing. It won't stop anyway. It is also like burden you with more responsibilities, and it's also going to impact your health to some extent. For the Aquarius sign, it is impacting your not only your amassing wealth, but it's also impacting your sign wherein you may feel some reservations in talking to people. So you may have like suddenly you may go down on, okay, let me talk less, let me feel reserved, and let me not talk too much to people. It's impacting your eighth house, which is again, you may develop some anxiety around how things are moving, whether this will be fine, why am I getting so perplexed? There might be anxiety due to any joint finances, again, any inheritances, some sort of debt could be likely, more expenditure on the cards during this period of 4 months of retrograde. And of course, this sign where you see if you're a student, you may not get too much into your studies, but this also house represents affairs. So if you are into a relationship with someone, again, relationship is not like spouse, but if you're into an affair with someone, this affair is likely to get very serious. Even if you probably started off like a fling, chances are this will get very serious very soon. That's a word of caution out there. And now the last sign of Pisces, where absolutely, Saturn sitting in your Lagna, the ascendant, is going to make you more responsible and more mature. but it's going to do that by burdening you, overburdening you with responsibilities. Responsibilities which are related to your house, responsibilities related during this while there may also be a chance where you are also feeling responsible from the point of view of your spouse, because these are testing times for your spouse as well, for your relationship. So, um, so one thing Saturn is going to do in this transit is impact your income. Again, as in the previous sign, it's also going to cut down your friend circle or your relationship circle to a smaller number, but it will be beneficial because it's going to make it more loyal, and not just people who are there in your friend list. They're like actually like true friends. And lastly, it's going to impact your house of inner peace. Of course, when you're overburdened with so many responsibilities, the inner peace is actually bound to get a bit of a hit. So, yeah, so that's how the houses and the aspects and the transit of Saturn is going to impact all these 12 signs. And let me know if you want any further elaboration on any of these signs. Do put that in the comment box.